Hey there everybody, it's Mark Curley. I'm back with another How to Draw video. I'm always getting requests for advice on how to draw folds in clothing, and so that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. We're going to look exclusively at folds on a shirt sleeve in 3 different positions, showing you where the wrinkles form. And I got a lot to cover in this video, so let's not waste any time. Let's just get to it. Okay, so you can see what I've done here is I've kind of deliberately drawn this very simple boxy shape, which is, to be honest, completely wrong. But I wanted to start with something that might look a little like a beginning artist might attempt at, and then we'll see how to improve it by getting folds in there. I'm going to start by getting a gently curving line up here. This kind of represents the upper seam of the sleeve. And then looking between this point and the end point, let's just find the dead center, the middle there, and give ourselves one guideline here. This is not going to be one of the wrinkles, but this helps us figure where to put stuff. And now I'm going to begin by changing the outline of the shirt. As I said, this is very boxy. This is not the way a shirt sleeve really looks. So I'm going in here. I'm just using an ordinary erasable pencil. At first I'm following this line pretty closely because this is a kind of a loose-fitting dress sleeve. But as it comes down to around midway between these 2 points, I'm going to bring a line down just a little diagonally here and create a cuff right around the wrist. And notice the direction of these curving lines, just the way the position that his arm is in. These lines are going to have a little bit of a curve to them. That gives it a little more three-dimensionality. And again, because there's a little bit of looseness in the cloth above the cuff, I'm coming out again at an angle. And eventually I'll go ahead and erase a little of this right now. We start to get a little closer to a realistic shape of the sleeve. Let's go ahead and do some of the folds here. I found, and this is based on studying photographs, that you generally will get a few folds up here, curving from the tip of the shoulder in towards the armpit, I guess we have to say. So I'm going to just stick with 1 or 2 like that. And then over here, following this line down, you can indicate maybe one more little curving line of a fold that gets in there, as the cloth kind of bunches together. So far, so good. Down here at the elbow area is where we're going to get several more lines. And what I'm going to do is start above, we had that guideline there. Right above that, I'm going to make a curving line like this. Maybe another line up here that sort of curves in the opposite direction. And then just to sort of break things up a little bit, I'm going to make a line that curves right across here and around toward the sort of inner elbow, I guess you'd have to say. So you end up with 1, 2, 3 basic areas where the folds tend to congregate. I'm going to do just one last thing and see how these are all simple lines. Sometimes it's nice to toss in a line that curves back in on itself. And again, this is all based on real folds. If you look at photographs of cloth, you'll see that type of a fold occur sometimes. And I'll erase the guideline here a little so that you can see what we've ended up with. Now coming down here, we're going to get maybe just 1, 2 little curving lines here that help indicate, again, that sort of looseness of cloth folding in on itself just above the cuff. And it's looking just a little bit blank to me between these 2. I'm going to toss in maybe just one more indication of a fold there. And yeah, just to save time, I'm going to sort of pull out my black Prismacolor pencil. People are always asking, what is that black pencil that you use? Black Prismacolor colored pencil. I'm going to do this in time-lapse, just sort of ink, I guess you could call it, with the pencil to get final lines on top of there. Okay, so there you have 1, 2, 3 basic areas where the folds tend to group up together. Let's go ahead and move on to the next bending fold over here, and I guess I'll just shift the camera over to get a better view of it. Okay, so let's kind of do like we did last time. I'm going to get a curving line in here that sort of indicates that upper seam. And then try to reshape this clunky looking exterior line so that it looks a little more like a real sleeve. And again, that involves indicating the cuff here. And notice that, at least in the photograph I looked at, that the lines of the cuff curve in the opposite direction of what they did in the other one. And so I'm going to go ahead and make this line come out just a bit. And I'm going to break this line up just a little bit into two different sections, and you'll see why later on, because we get a little bit of a wrinkle in there, I saw. So all of these curving lines here, they kind of change a little when the arm moves into this position. I found that they start pointing in a slightly different direction. And maybe just the lines are not quite as long as they were before. But what happens is that you get 1, 2, maybe 3 or even 4 lines here in that armpit area. Sorry to have you all thinking about armpits as I work on this drawing, but, you know, let's just say underarm. I don't know if that's any better. Anyway, so we got a bunch of wrinkles up here, folds in the cloth, and then coming down here, it really gets quite complicated here, and I'm going to try to sort of simplify things a little bit, but what happens is the cloth really starts to bunch together here. And it can be a challenge not to overdo it, as I have done in previous videos about cloth folds, but we do need to get at least several lines in here to indicate how many folds really emerge in that area. So, you know, I'm not saying, oh, every line has to go exactly here. No, you just you play around and kind of find out. But notice that on the interior elbow here, we do get this sort of zigzagging a contour that forms. And I should probably quit while I'm ahead and not get too many more folds in there. What I noticed that happened here when the arm moved into this position is you get a kind of a new fold that emerges across the forearm. And this is maybe just the physics of the cloth as the elbow pulls out here. A fold emerges here. You can even sort of follow through on the other side of the forearm there if you want, to show how both sides of the arm, the cloth is sort of affected by that. And then over here where you had these kind of curving lines, here again in the photo reference that I looked at, just 1 or 2 lines that were poking out here showing the cloth emerging from the cuff. Again, in time-lapse, I'm going to go ahead and put the permanent lines in. All right, so that's pretty much done. You know, looking at this, it seems, and again, looking at a photo, this area seems a little unfinished to me, so I'm going to show you the option of getting 1 extra line in here, the way cloth can sometimes bunch up in that area. I'm going to try to keep it real light, though, because it's sort of a very subtle fold. Maybe just a crease, not even a real fold. But there you go. That kind of finishes off this one. Let's go ahead and move on to the final one where we see an elbow that is kind of tightly bent, and see what happens to the cloth there. All right, so as you might imagine, because the arm is being pulled up quite tightly, you end up with some pretty intense folds, especially at the elbow area. But I'm going to start again by putting in a light indication of that seam up there, and 1 or 2 lines here in our favorite area, the armpit. And then come down here, whoops, and this line fairly straight until we get down to the fold of the elbow. But watch what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and do as I have done in the past, a couple of ones, reshape from this sort of clunky looking sleeve shape to something a little closer to what we would really see. Get the cuff. Notice that when you pull your arm up in this direction, the cuff is flat against the wrist here, but you know, just because of gravity or whatever, it's coming down well past this side of the wrist. And then we are even going to get a little bit of a fold down here coming off of the cuff. Over here I'll finish off this contour line just to kind of improve the outline shape that we have there. But watch what happens here. I'm always using this phrase, the lines are fanning out. Well, here's a perfect example of a place where the lines do indeed fan out. We get a little indication of cloth being pulled across the upper arm. And then down here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Always hard to know when to stop, but let's go for a fourth one that comes all the way down, kind of pointing toward the elbow. And just one last little one in here. And just because it's looking a little unfinished, I'll make this the true last one. But you end up with all these lines pulling out, fanning out from that one elbow area. And again, this is all based on, you know, photographs, and it may sometimes, even trusting photographs, things can look odd when you transpose them to the page. So feel free to change things that just look wrong to you, even when you're using photo reference. But the one that I looked at had a fair number of lines coming off of the down like that. And that pretty much does it for the sleeve in this position. I'm going to go ahead and do these final pencil lines, and I'll come back to give you some closing advice. Alright, well, I hope you found that useful. If you did, please let me know, because I can do more videos like this. I could do pants and sweaters and all kinds of different things. Make a whole series out of it. In fact, this is kind of a preview for a book that I'm working on right now, a how to draw manga book. It's actually going to have a lot of drawing advice in addition to manga. It's coming out from a company called Impact. That's not going to be out for a while yet. Maybe the end of this year, early next year. I got to figure out the publication schedule on that one. But the next thing that's coming out is going to be in the Brody's Ghost series. This one already out from Dark Horse. You know, it's my graphic novel series. And here's a little sneak peek of the front cover for the next book in that series, Brody's Ghost, Book 2, due in stores January 25th is what Amazon is saying. And to tell you the truth, Amazon may be your best bet for getting it. You know, it can be hard to find my books, sadly, in the stores, as you all remember from the Miki Falls days. But I am so grateful to everyone who makes the extra effort to get hold of my books. I really greatly appreciate your support. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making it for you, and I will be back with another one real soon.